Liberty Nation with Tim Donner.
Say what? Say what? Say what? One more time.
We kick things off in this final pre-election show with our signature segment, Say What, where we roll out a virtual assembly line of wacky, astonishing, damnable, and ultimately revealing things uttered by politicians and the chattering class. The election finally is nigh, with polls in battleground states tightening as we count down to Tuesday. The question is whether that's a typical closing of party ranks late in most presidential races, or that President Trump has truly gained ground in those states he has to win to reach 270 electoral votes. Trump seems to have picked up his support in two crucial states, Florida and Pennsylvania, that he's been visiting with regularity as he crisscrosses the nation down the stretch at the same frenetic pace as 2016. With North Carolina and Arizona still in play, Michigan and Wisconsin showing Biden leading, but with poll results all over the place. Meanwhile, Joe Biden spent much of the last week of the campaign at or near his home in Delaware, perhaps because of a damning interview about his family's business dealings with foreign interests while he was vice president, which we'll discuss in a moment, but perhaps also to avoid making the kind of humiliating gaffe he made during a virtual appearance midweek.
What kind of country we're going to be? 4 more years of Georgia, he's going to find ourselves in a position where if Trump gets elected, we're going to be in a different world.
Now, no matter your ideology or your opinion of Donald Trump, a guy who wants to be the leader of the free world being unable to even remember the name of the current president and the man he's running against, confusing George Bush with Donald Trump, has to give you pause. Meanwhile, the VP candidate and presumed president-in-waiting, Kamala Harris, went on 60 Minutes and seemed to just lose her bearings when she was asked what kind of perspective she would offer to a President Biden.
Is that a socialist or progressive perspective?
No. No, it is the perspective of a woman who grew up a black child in America, who was also a prosecutor, who also has a mother who arrived here at the age of 19 from India, who also, likes hip hop. Like, what do you want to know?
Well, I want to give you that.
That is about the most uncomfortable laugh you will ever hear at just the wrong time. And more than that, a transparent giveaway of how uncomfortable she is answering that question about socialism honestly. But what could be the single biggest story or biggest scandal revolving around this presidential campaign is not even being covered by the media establishment. They're completely ignoring the testimony of former Biden family business partner Tony Bobulinski, who went on Fox News and described his reaction to the full-on media blackout of this explosive story.
Shocked, because it would be different if this was my word against Jim Biden, Hunter Biden, and Joe Biden.
Right.
That would be a very slippery slope, not something I would take the personal and family risk on it. But I've provided more documents and facts that validate times, meetings, who participated. It wasn't me generating. These text messages that I've provided are Hunter Biden in the first person, Jim Biden in the first person. It's not me generating the text messages, it's them speaking.
But what really got to Mr. Bobulinski was the bold-faced charge by Democrats that he is nothing more than a patsy for, who else? Russia.
Not only have they not gone on record, they've denied it, and they've tarred my family name and a long history of serving this country and have other congressmen out talking about Russian disinformation.
This whole smear on Joe Biden comes from the Kremlin.
I held a top secret clearance from the NSA and the DOE. I served this country for 4 years in one of the most elite environments in the world, Naval Nuclear Power Training Command. And to have a congressman out there speaking about Russian disinformation, or Joe Biden at a public debate referencing Russian disinformation, when he knows he sat face to face with me, that I was traveled around the world with his son and his brother, to say that and associate that with my name is absolutely disgusting.
Indeed, the media has willingly sacrificed their last shred of integrity with their blackout of this story, but social media is just as bad. The heads of the big three tech giants were called on the carpet on Capitol Hill following their censorship of the Biden corruption story and grilled particularly hard by Senator Ted Cruz.
The three witnesses we have before this committee today collectively pose, I believe, the single greatest threat to free speech in America and the greatest threat we have to free and fair elections. Facebook is at the minimum at least trying to make some efforts in the direction of defending free speech. Google has more power than any company on the face of the planet. And the antitrust concerns are real. The impact of Google is profound. But today, I want to focus my questioning on Mr. Dorsey and on Twitter. Because of the three players before us, I think Twitter's conduct has by far been the most egregious. Mr. Dorsey, who the hell elected you and put you in charge of what the media are allowed to report and what the American people are allowed to hear? And why do you persist in behaving as a Democratic super PAC, silencing views to the contrary of your political beliefs?
That Senate hearing produced no substantive promises or answers and no specific reform proposed, but this hard look at the liability protections afforded these big tech giants, shielding them from lawsuits, has only just begun. Finally, in a story of enormous consequence, lost in the sauce of a bitter presidential campaign was the confirmation of Amy Coney Barrett to the Supreme Court, signaling a sea change with the most progressive justice having died and been replaced by a conservative, assuring a constitutionalist majority on the court for as far as the eye can see. And after being sworn in, Justice Barrett used the occasion as a teachable moment for Americans about the Constitution.
It is the job of a senator to pursue her policy preferences. By contrast, it is the job of a judge to resist her policy preferences. This separation of duty from political preference is what makes the judiciary distinct among the three branches of government. The judicial oath captures the essence of the judicial duty. The rule of law must always control.
While ACB's keen mind and clear judicial philosophy is likely to have a profound effect on the court for years or decades to come, you also can't help notice how Justice Barrett is the very personification of the group Trump is so desperate to win back on Tuesday: white suburban women.